Want to welcome back in the political panel this morning. We start with our White House correspondent, Emerald Robinson, down in Washington. The executive director of USA Strong, Aaron Elmore, is with us. The host of Stacy on the Right, Stacy Washington, back with us this morning. And constitutional attorney Amir Benno. Good morning to all. Nice to have you on. Emerald, I would like to start with you, Aaron, talking about Rush Limbaugh as we remember his career, his amazing career. You look at the numbers. He had between 15 and 25 million listeners every single week. Those numbers are astonishing right now. But right when he was sort of building and gaining in popularity in the mid-90s, 1994, it was that Republican revolution. And Newt Gingrich has said many times over the years, that's when he became speaker shortly thereafter. He said without Rush Limbaugh on the airwaves, this wouldn't have happened during Bill Clinton's first term. You agree?
I do, and we even see this happening now, that conservative voices are silenced. And that's why people like Rush were so important then. He was that one consistent voice that we could count on. He would tell us the news. He wouldn't pull any punches. He would always be honest with us. And he did those 3 hours a day, unscripted, every day, with constant determination and energy. And he really kept us all who were studying journalism at the time or thought about having careers in journalism, he kept us motivated, and we thought to ourselves, we can do this. For me, he was one of my biggest inspirations, and I would just listen to him and try to emulate his style, because the way he told his story from beginning, middle to end was so cogent and so powerful that you literally would hang on his every word, and it was riveting.
I want to play a soundbite. President Trump called into Greg Kelly's show, which is 7 o'clock Eastern here on Newsmax last night, and talked a little bit about Rush Limbaugh's legacy. Let's take a listen.
He's irreplaceable, but people, that is one of those little things that keeps popping up. But you wouldn't want to follow Rush. You know, it's the old story. You get somebody like that, you don't want to follow him because some things just can't be done. He was unique.
Emerald, this is it's a gut punch for conservative America, but part of the reason this guy was so popular is he wasn't just like a wacky radio guy doing bits, you know, between the breaks and playing some music. He really, his message, it hit home for millions of people, myself included.
Yeah, and it may have been Amir last hour talked about how prepared he was for every show and it being 3 hours. Well, President Trump, in that interview last night, he said he actually asked Rush Limbaugh, how much work do you put into this? Do you just get up there and talk, or do you do a lot of work? And Rush had told the former president that it was a lot of work, that he went through everything and, did a lot of preparation for those 3 hours, though it sounded so spontaneous. But yeah, like you said, it's just a gut punch to the conservative community. And I think it's sort of hard to see for conservatives who thought so much of Rush. I've noticed on the Twitter chatter and social media, clearly liberals felt as strongly the other way about him. And for them to say certain things right now has really riled up conservatives and Rush's fans.
Yeah, but there are moments, I totally agree. There are moments, though, where we can go. I mean, this guy had stage gnosis.
He was in bad shape the last little bit.
And he would say on the airwaves, I'm here because I love this. Larry King said, if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life. It was so obvious. I want to play you a soundbite from the State of the Union last February when Rush he was surprised with the Medal of Freedom by Melania Trump, the First Lady. I want you to focus your eyes on Nancy Pelosi, the House Speaker. Take a look.
He is the greatest fighter and winner that you will ever meet. Rush Limbaugh, thank you for your decades of tireless devotion to our country.
All right, Nancy Pelosi didn't look up on the dais there. She didn't acknowledge Rush Limbaugh. She didn't clap, not that she has to, but there were many Democrats clapping in the chamber because there's a guy that doesn't have much time left on this earth. And she couldn't look beyond politics. And I thought about Ted Kennedy in 2009. He took the floor of the Senate for the final time, Stacy, and everybody on both sides of the aisle stood up and clapped for this guy because he'd spent 47 years in the Senate. And Nancy Pelosi, she shuffled her papers and didn't do that. And I just thought that was very small.
It was. And, Rob, I echo Emerald's comments because this is a time when Rush Limbaugh was in the hospital in Boston and he had to travel to DC, and so he was very sick. And so plane rides are already rough on your body, but when you're sick and you're undergoing chemotherapy, it was a Herculean effort on his part to make it. And where I come from, where I was raised, if you don't have anything nice to say, zip it. And especially when you're talking about people who are battling for their lives. And so, we see a lot of nastiness on Twitter. It's to be expected. Every time someone who's a conservative passes away, liberals show their underwear, as my mom would say. But that's beyond the pale. When I look at who he was, I remember 20 years ago, we moved here to St. Louis, and we'd been here about 2 years. And I heard him on the radio for the first time, and I thought, who is this man? Because I was just laughing. And this was before I was political at all. One baby in the back seat. My husband and I had been married about 5 years, and I wasn't very political. And I remember laughing like hard. And this was like 20 minutes in the car. And I thought to myself, if I have to listen to politics, I'd listen to that guy. Now, here I am, a radio host 3 hours a day. And people ask me that same question. Do you just talk? Do you prepare? How do you get ready for 3 hours of radio? It seems like a long time. And sometimes I think about the taglines of Rush Limbaugh: 2 hands tied behind my back, talent on loan from God, that laugh, the way he could tell any story and you're just riveted. You have to stay in the car to finish the story before you go into the grocery store. Right. He was an icon, and I'm going to miss him a lot.
That talent, by the way, we should say, is back in heaven this morning. That talent that was on loan. Amir, good to see you, my friend. I'd like to talk about somebody who's kind of the opposite direction of Rush right now, not really an icon in American political life right now, Andrew Cuomo in New York. This is the story that just won't go away. I'm sure Cuomo would love it, too. But according to the Albany Times-Union, that's the big paper up there in the Capitol in New York, the FBI and the U.S. Attorney's Office in Brooklyn. I'm not sure why it's the office in Brooklyn, Amir, and not the one that's, a half a block away from the Capitol up in Albany. But they are officially investigating Andrew Cuomo now. Subpoenas have apparently been issued. No one's been charged. But do you expect charges to come in this nursing home scandal?
Wow, I would hope so. I can explain why it would be the Eastern District in Brooklyn versus the Southern District in Manhattan, because Melissa DeRosa, who is the right-hand person to Andrew Cuomo, she's the daughter-in-law of the U.S. Attorney in Manhattan. But I know that Chuck Grassley's been pushing to get this case transferred or get an investigation opened in the Northern District of New York, which is in Albany. And perhaps there'll be some success with that. I think they're going to have to do an investigation. Hopefully they'll be able to separate politics from it. And I mean, listen, if the right thing's being done, yes, there will be charges. It's hard to fathom that Cuomo can sit there and accuse Donald Trump of inciting a riot where people died by tweeting, but yet he's not responsible for the deaths of 5 times as many people who died in the World Trade Center, 9/11, by issuing an executive order and then burying it and sitting on it for months and then hiding the fact that he did that, trying to scrub it from the state website and refusing to provide data to the legislature and to the DOJ. I mean, that to me is unconscionable.
Aaron, jump in.
Yeah, thank you. I was going to. You read my mind. So what's going on here is that Letitia James, who's the New York AG, she's also a Democrat. So you would think she was walking in lockstep with Cuomo. She wants his job. Yeah. She wants to knock him off the map. So now, for once, the Democrats are eating their own. So we should see a lot here from that New York AG, Letitia James. She literally is targeting him because if he's gone, she can be the governor. She could possibly, Cuomo that is, stepped out because I think she sat back and went home and realized Cuomo's going to throw me under the bus. If I don't come out and say something, I'm going to go down for this whole entire sham. So that's what's really going on in New York, and I hope that Cuomo pays the price here.
I think Aaron's right. That's the only way that we will see justice in this, though. I'm a bit more skeptical on, it's so evident there's 2 tiers of justice when it comes to Democrats doing something and Republicans doing something. Let's look at what happened to Roger Stone as opposed to the FBI lawyer, Kevin Kleinsmith, who doctored an email to illegally, once he doctored the email, spy on an American citizen. He got a slap on the hand and got probation. Yeah. And look what happened to Roger Stone, who eventually, got pardoned. But the only factor that might mean that Cuomo sees justice is because one of his own is gunning for him.
It's unbelievable. It's. I'll tell you what, Democrats eat
Self-interest.
I know Mitch McConnell and Donald Trump are bickering right now, but Democrats, they eat their own. I mean, they've turned on him. It didn't take long at all. And we can dive into that more at the top of the hour. We got to leave it there, panel. But enjoyed the conversation. We'll see you guys again in just a little bit here on Wake Up America.